بترشيح عماد ميشيل عون.
المعارضة السورية هي بتحدد من يمثلها.
Good afternoon. You're watching the English newscast on Future Television. I'm Yumna Nofal, and these are today's top stories. A new parliamentary session to elect a new head of state is adjourned to March 2nd due to lack of quorum. Syrian rebels withdraw from 3 villages threatened by Russian airstrikes in the northern province of Aleppo that borders Turkey. And the Iraqi army deploys thousands of soldiers to a northern base in preparation for operations to retake Daesh's hub of Mosul. A new parliamentary session to elect a new head of state has been adjourned to March 2nd due to lack of quorum. Only 51 MPs arrived at the parliament to attend the 35th session when 2/3 quorum, or 86 of parliament's 128, should be secured to convene the session. Telecommunications Minister Boutros Harib, a March 14 independent lawmaker, revealed that his allies are preparing a proposal to amend the constitution to force MPs to attend presidential election sessions. The Parliament Speaker, Nabi Bideh, had arrived at the Parliament, and he had last attended the session set to elect a new head of state in April of 2014, when lawmakers voted for 3 candidates: Aliye MP Henri Hello from MP Walid Jumblad's Democratic Gathering, Lebanese Forces Chief Sami Jaja, and former Kataib leader Amin Jmail. Now, former President Misha Sleiman's 6-year tenure ended in May 2014, almost 2 years ago. Supporters and relatives of a Lebanese man arrested in Prague 2 years ago and handed over last week to Lebanese authorities are calling for his release outside the Beirut Justice Palace. Lebanese authorities detained Ali Fayyad last week upon his arrival to Beirut following his deportation from the Czech Republic, where he was in danger of being extradited to the U.S. weapons and drugs charges. His lawmaker Kamal Al-Hafi told reporters from outside the Justice Palace that General Prosecutor Judge Samir Hammoud had filed a request to Interpol to receive Fayyad's case file. He pointed out that the file usually requires 15 days to be reclaimed, during which time Fayyad will remain in custody. Czech Republic's Justice Minister Robert Pélican decided not to extradite Fayyad to the U.S., apparently in a swap deal to see the release of 5 Czech citizens abducted in Lebanon in July of last year. Syrian rebels have withdrawn from 3 villages threatened by Russian strikes in the northern province of Aleppo that borders Turkey, allowing Kurdish fighters to overrun them. The Syrian Observatory for Human Rights said the rebels abandoned the villages of Aklamiye, Deir Jamal and Miranar on Sunday at the insistence of residents who feared their homes would be bombed. That enabled the Kurdish People's Protection Units to move in, also known as YPG, and seize 3 villages in another setback for the rebels only days after they lost 3 nearby towns to the Kurds. Opposition factions north of Syria's second city of Aleppo have been increasingly struck between the pincers of YPG forces on one side and pro-government fighters on the other. After some clashes between rebels and the YPG, residents pressured rebels in some villages to hand over control to the Kurds so that Russian warplanes would not target their homes. Turkish humanitarian groups are setting up camps in Syria and sent in truckloads of aid for tens of thousands of people stranded on the border after fleeing the Russian-backed regime offensive on the northern region of Aleppo. Turkey, which has long pushed for a safe zone on the border, has vowed to help an estimated 35,000 people amassed on the frontier, many of them women and children. But so far, it has kept the border closed despite warnings from aid groups of the desperate situation the Syrians are facing. Aid agencies are warning of a desperate situation among the crowds queuing in the cold and rain at Bab Salama frontier post, which faces Turkey's Ocean Pinir crossing, and begun setting up camps on the Syrian side. Many refugees are reportedly sleeping in fields and on the roads. The Turkish Humanitarian Relief Foundation, which is providing food for 20,000 refugees, said it has set up a new camp with a capacity of 10,000, in addition to 8 it already operates near Bab Salama. Coming up next, the halftime show at the Super Bowl 50 with Beyonce, Coldplay, and Bruno Mars. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back. You're watching the 1620 o'clock news on Future Television. The Iraqi army is deploying thousands of soldiers to a northern base in preparation for operations to retake Daesh's hub of Mosul. Daesh seized Mosul in June 2014 and, except for airstrikes, has held Iraq's second city largely unopposed for over 18 months as the country's security forces are battling jihadists in other areas. There are 3 brigades located in that base now, and their numbers are eventually reaching 4,500 soldiers, an officer said, adding that troops from the 15th and 16th Division will take part in operations to retake Mosul. The initial aim is to completely sever Daesh's supply lines between Mosul and areas farther south, including Hawija and Kirkuk, and areas near Baiji and Salah ad-Din. A Kurdish official said that most of the soldiers deployed to the area, which is located within territory controlled by Iraqi Kurdistan, are ethnic Kurds from the Iraqi army. An Oscar-winning filmmaker hopes her latest Academy Award-nominated documentary will help bring tougher laws against honor killings in Pakistan, a practice in which hundreds of women and men die each year. The film, which follows the story of a young woman who survived attempted murder by her father and uncle after marrying a man deemed unsuitable, was nominated for an Oscar in January, prompting Pakistan's Prime Minister to pledge to take a firm stand against the practice. More than 500 men and women died in honor killings in 2015, according to the Human Rights Commission of Pakistan. Many of these crimes carried out by relatives who say their mostly female victims have brought shame on the family and they're never prosecuted. Obaid Chinoy's film, A Girl in a River, The Price of Forgiveness, is scheduled to air on HBO in March, and it tells the story of a 19-year-old girl from Pakistan's Punjab province. Take a look.
You can go into small towns and villages across Pakistan and you will find that people will think that honor killing is not a crime because nobody ever goes to jail for it. So I wanted to start a national discourse about honor killings because people need to realize that it is a very serious crime. It is not something that is part of our religion or our culture, and this is something that should be treated as premeditated murder, and people should go to jail for it. To see how much pressure there can be applied in a low socio-income background in Pakistan is incredible, because these people would tell them that next time you need something and you come to the neighborhood, we will not give you anything. So they ostracized Saba's in-laws and her family, and she was forced to forgive. That's what surprised me most, that how much pressure that exists, and this loophole in our law allows the pressure to continue. For me, the greatest win of the Girl in the River film would be that if the Prime Minister does take the lead, he brings the stakeholders on board and they pass the Anti-Honor Crime Bill 2014. This could be his legacy to the women in his own family, that no woman in this country should be killed in the name of honor, and if she does, then people should go to jail for it so that other people don't take that step.
At least 4 people, including an 8-year-old girl, were rescued from a high-rise Taiwanese apartment building toppled by a powerful quake 2 days earlier. This frustration is growing among families waiting for searchers to reach their buried loved ones. More than 100 people are believed to still be under the debris in a disaster that struck during the most important family holiday in the Chinese calendar, also known as the Lunar New Year. This quake killed at least 38 people in Tainan, the city in southern Taiwan, all but 2 of them in the collapse of the 17-story building. Even though the 6.4 magnitude quake was shallow, few buildings are reported to have been damaged, which experts say was because Taiwan's building standards are high. Authorities have managed to rescue more than 170 people, the vast majority in the immediate hours after the quake, from the folded building, using information about the building layout and the possible location of those trapped. Swatting aside fears over the Zika virus, the glittering dancers of the Rio Carnival Samba Championship and their adoring fans were primed for their first all-night parade in Brazil. After a fortnight of street parties, thousands of gallons of beer, and the day and night sound of drumming and singing throughout Brazil's most iconic city, the really serious carnival fun was set to begin. Kicking off after sunset and going all through the night to dawn on this Monday, the 12 best samba ensembles, known as schools, were to strut their stuff in front of some 70,000 people in Rio's specially built stadium, the Samba Drome. The contest, which comes second and final night on Monday, is the climax of the annual Rio Carnival, possibly the world's biggest party, with some 5 million people, including 1 million tourists, estimated to take part. And the Denver Broncos won their third National Football League championship with a 24-10 upset victory over the top-seeded Carolina Panthers in Super Bowl number 50. The Broncos scored early and never trailed as they held the league's highest scoring offense in American football, and they kept it in check en route to capturing their first Super Bowl title in 17 years. Denver's Peyton Manning, 39 years old, playing in what could be the final game of his storied NFL game, added another line in the records book as is now the oldest quarterback to play in a Super Bowl and first to reach 200 wins in the NFL. But it was the top-ranked Denver defense that can claim credit for the victory after holding the league's highest scoring offense to a single touchdown and 10 points. The Denver defense was led by Von Miller, who forced Panthers quarterback Cam Newton into 2 fumbles that were both converted into touchdowns. But now, let's see what the halftime show looked like.
Okay, ladies, now let's get information. Okay, ladies, now let's get information. Prove to me you got some coordination. You just might be a black Bill Gates in the making. I'm in Alabama, I'm a Louisiana. You mix that Negro with that Creole, make the Texas Bama. I like my baby hair with baby hair and afro. I like my Negro no protection, cotton out of straw. And all this money, but they never take the country out there. I got hot sauce in my bed. I see it, I want it. I stunt yellow on it. I dream it, I work hard, I grind till I own it. I twirl on my haters. I follow alligators. Casino, turbo, no chaser. Sometimes I go on, I go hard. Take what's mine. I'm a star. 'Cause I slay. Okay, ladies, now let's get information.
Fellas, let's get this stadium shaking.
Now let's get information.
Say my name, you know who I am.
And you know who I am.
I'm too hot, too hot. Don't believe me, just watch. Come on. Don't believe me, just watch.
This marks the end of our bulletin for today. Now for a reminder of our top stories. A new parliamentary session to elect a new head of state is adjourned to March 2nd due to lack of quorum. Syrian rebels withdraw from 3 villages threatened by Russian airstrikes in the northern province of Aleppo that borders Turkey. And the Iraqi army deploys thousands of soldiers to a northern base in preparation for operations to retake Daesh's group hub of Mosul. Those are your Monday headlines live on Future Television. Catch us again tomorrow for all the latest. Have a good night.
أنا زيارة حققت بوقعته
لترشيح عماد ميشيل عون.
المعارضة السورية هي اللي تحدد من يمثلها.